Blog Talk Radio. Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Franchise Interviews. For over 6 years, Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship. Listen to interviews with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys. And now, welcome your host, Marty McDermott, and Franchise Interviews.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 6 years now, we've been asking the Franchipreneurs one-on-one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott. I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and we have a great show today. We're meeting with Gregory Lee of ProTect Painters in Richardson, Texas. And today we're going to be speaking to Greg about his experience in life as a ProTect Painters franchisee and how he balances that work and life as a dadpreneur. And that's coming up on Franchise Interviews. So stick around because we've got a great show.
Are you looking for a franchise that delivers? Businesses will always need shipping, and for more than 25 years, loyal customers have depended on Unishippers for reliable savings and exceptional customer service. Unishippers is focused on just one thing: helping small and medium-sized businesses save time and money on all their shipping needs. And as the largest reseller of complete shipping services in the country, we have the buying power to ensure that we succeed. The Unishippers franchise offers low startup costs, no equipment or real estate required because they're not retail, residual income, and a quality of life and work-life balance. For more information on becoming a Unishippers franchisee, go to www.unishippers.com and click Franchise Opportunities or call Franchise Development at 801-708-5822. That's 801-708-5822.
Are you one of those special people who are willing to go after your dreams and goals? Are you ready to fulfill that dream of owning your own business with the security of a proven brand? The opportunity to take control of your future and own a Rita's Italian Ice franchise is within your reach.
Rita's is seeking success-oriented individuals who are ready to make a change in their life, and Rita's offers unparalleled training and support to assure your success. And did you know the frozen treat industry is a recession-proof industry, and there are Rita's in 23 states currently with 540 stores open. Rita's Italian Ice has been around for 25 years and is listed as a top-performing franchise by the Wall Street Journal.
Now here's the really good part. Rita's Italian Ice is a unique and amazing taste treat. It's smoother than a snow cone, and it combines ice with real fresh fruit. The real fruit adds dramatically to the taste, and it comes in over 40 flavors. The ice and fruit are mixed on site and made fresh daily, and it is delicious.
You'll want to know more about this exciting and successful franchise opportunity. Go to www.ownaritas.com and get all your questions answered. That's www.ownaritas.com to take control of your dreams and future today. You don't want to wait any longer to be a part of this adventure. www.ownaritas.com.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 6 years now we've been asking the Franchipreneurs one-on-one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott. I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and as we were saying earlier, we have a great show today. We're meeting with Gregory Lee of ProTect Painters in Richardson, Texas. And today we're going to be speaking to Greg about his experience in life as a ProTect franchisee and how he's able to balance his life as a dadpreneur. Hey, Greg, how you doing? Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Thanks so much, Greg. It's great to have you on the show. Are you calling from Texas today?
Yes, I am.
That's fantastic. How's the weather there today, Greg?
It's pretty nice, actually.
That's good.
Supposed to be fairly warm today, probably in the 70s. And
wow.
I'm sure the people up north aren't real excited to hear that.
Absolutely. Spring can't come soon enough. It's been a cold winter, so that's fantastic. So for our listeners, Greg, who don't know, maybe you can tell us a little bit about ProTect Painters and, what is ProTect Painters? Okay.
Well, ProTect Painters is actually part of the Service Brand International family. If you've ever heard of Molly Maid or Mr. Handyman, we're part of that family. And we're a home-based franchise business, and our business involves managing painting jobs while we don't actually do the painting, which is good because these people would probably rather not have me paint their home, but we actually have crews that go out and do the painting while we manage the job. So we, with that kind of business model, we can manage several jobs at one time rather than focus on just one job at a time.
Right. I think the perception is always, I've been involved in franchising 11 years now, Greg, and it's always, people have this perception that, to get into a ProTect Painters, you have to have that experience, or you have to, be a painter, and not true at all. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about, your background, what you were doing before you decided to launch a ProTect Painters business.
Oh, you bet. Actually, the only painting experience I've had prior to this is attempting to paint my own house, which, didn't turn out all that well.
Right.
Before this, I actually worked repairing aircraft electronics, which has absolutely nothing to do with painting. So really, you don't have to have the experience in it.
Right.
And I did that for a number of years. And since I was a kid, I always had this dream of having my own job, having my own business. And an opportunity came along, actually doing franchise brokering.
Wow.
So I tried my hand at that for a little while. And while I was doing that, I got to learn a lot about different franchises. I mean, we represented, at the time, about 150 different franchises, ranging from painting or window cleaning to restaurants, food service, transmissions, whatever. I mean, the franchises just ran the gamut. And anyway, after learning a lot about the different ones, I came across ProTect Painters, and I was impressed with the business model, and it really piqued my interest. So I went from representing them to purchasing them, and that's how I got into ProTect Painters. So really it had nothing to do with my experience. I enjoy providing a service. I enjoy meeting new people every day and helping others earn an income. So that's what really got me interested in it.
It sounds like you had an interest, too. It sounds like you've known pretty early on in your life, Greg, that, you wanted to go into your own business. And it sounds like, from talking to you, that there was something about franchising. What was it about franchising that you liked?
What got me interested in franchising was the fact that I found out that trying to start a business on my own from scratch was very difficult, to say the least. And I thought for me to have a better chance at succeeding, it might be better for me to try to purchase a business that's already established, already has the clientele. And as I looked into that evolved into looking into a franchise, which already has the business model set up, the training. I wouldn't have to reinvent the wheel, which I really liked.
Yeah, it's very powerful. And it must have been interesting for you, it's working with all those other franchisors, I guess maybe you had extra time, though, to, really look at all the different industries. I say to, a lot of our listeners, there's so much out there today, isn't there? I mean, there's just I think they're up to 2,500 different franchise systems. I think we're up to about 80 industries. You say, where do you begin? It must be very difficult, to narrow it down, Maybe you could talk a little bit about the technology, or has technology played a role in your business, Greg?
Oh, it definitely has. In our particular franchise, we utilize laptop computers, a tablet, and we actually have a mobile office set up in our vehicles, so that when we're out on the job, we can input our measurements into our tablet, download it into our laptop, and then print it out on site, so that we have the capability of delivering a printed proposal there on site before we even leave.
That's
which
great.
is really nice. And also we have a 24-hour, 7-day call center, so that just because our business hours are closed, people can still call in at any time and schedule an estimate.
Wow, that's fantastic. So it's 2 o'clock in the morning. You can still
Yeah, absolutely.
That's amazing. And another great benefit, I guess, of course, joining a franchise, Greg, is that you have that benefit, don't you, of someone, kind of doing that for you, which is really fantastic. And Service Brands International, is I've interviewed them before, and I've studied Service Brands, and I think they're an amazing organization to just be part of their family. I guess that kind of helps a bit as well, too, being part of the Service Brands International family, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it really does help out tremendously.
That's fantastic. So maybe you can, paint the picture for our guests, what's a typical day like for you, Greg? I guess from maybe the moment you get up till, the end of your day.
Well, a typical day, in the mornings we generally spend visiting our job sites. Mm-hmm. We get with our crew leaders and meet with the customers, and either we may start a job. When I start a job, I go over it with the painters and make sure they know the scope of the work. I deliver the paint and deliver the supplies. Then in the afternoon, that's usually spent doing marketing or networking. Then in late afternoon, that's when we generally do our estimating.
Right.
And it varies from day to day. I may not have an estimate to do that day, or I may have 2 to do in one day. But then I'm usually home in the evenings to spend with my family. It's pretty flexible, so that if someone needs an estimate done but they're not available till the evening, I can adjust my schedule. I can meet their schedule.
And that's important, too, in studying, your background, over the last couple of days, Greg, if I can guess, I think that's what you were looking for, too. There's a term that we've been using for, the last month. I guess we're kind of, declaring it, dadpreneur month. And I know you describe yourself as a dadpreneur. What does that actually mean, and how does ProTect Painters fit into that picture?
I like that term, dadpreneur. I'm very devoted to my family, and I wanted to be there for them, because in the past, as I told you earlier, the job that I had repairing aircraft electronics, that job it wasn't paying the bill, so to speak.
Right.
Cost of living was going up, so it was necessary to take on a second job. So I'm working during the day and going from one job straight to the next job, and I might not get home till late in the evening. And my family just loved that, not being able to see Dad. So yes. I had to find something where I could spend a little more time with them.
Right.
And with the flexibility of this business, I'm able to do that. I can take my children to school. Usually I can pick them up from school. I have time to take them to their activities, whether it's baseball, scouts, or whatever. And I like that. And my family likes that as well. That's not to say that there's not a lot of after-hours time devoted to the business,
right.
Especially starting up.
Right.
There's a lot of time devoted, but I can adjust it as I need to. And so it's nice to have the flexibility.
Yeah. It sounds like ProTect Painters was like a kind of like a means to an end, as well for you. You know what I mean? Is you knew exactly, what type of business you were looking for, where I guess, and this being, in the broker business, I guess if you got into, it wasn't just a franchise, but if you got into like a food franchise, not to pick on that particular category, that would be kind of tough, wouldn't it? Because you would still be working those hefty hours, so you can say, from what I understand anyway.
And that was actually something we considered. I was there's a friend of mine that we had looked into this together, and that was one thing that came to mind was if I got into a food industry,
right.
Oh, you're right, I would be working weekends, working nights. It would, and if that's their passion, then that's
yes.
great. More power to them. I applaud them. But I've done enough of the late night work, and I just wasn't excited about that.
Exactly. What was the training like for you? Once you decided, you said, okay, I'm going to go forward with ProTect painters. How did that work, Greg?
The training was phenomenal. There's definitely not a lack of training. And actually, there's a metaphor that they like to use about our training. It's like drinking from a fire hose. It is. It's quite intense. It begins with a series of webinars that there's a lot of them that we go through, we view, and they're quite informative. Then once we get past the webinars, then we spend a week at the home office, actually in-class training. And it's not just devoted to sitting in class and listening to instruction. We also go out into the field. We do practice estimates, so it's actually real-time training, and they've adjusted it a little bit. In the past, the training was 2 weeks at the home office, but here recently they're trying a new approach where it's 1 week at the home office, 1 week in the franchisee's area, their own territory. So for example, I spent 1 week in Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Right.
Then they came down to my area for 1 week and actually did training in my territory, which, it helped out tremendously. I mean, it was great to be able to actually learn in my area.
That's fantastic. I mean, it kind of makes sense, doesn't it, to be in your area, to be in that setting, you know what I mean? It kind of puts you in that mindset. It must be difficult sometimes for, franchisees where they go to, your corporate, for sometimes it's like 2 weeks, and then you come home, you're like, okay, now what do I do? Because it's that different environment, you know what I mean? So I think that's very clever.
Absolutely.
That ProTect Painters, sets up the training in that manner. And I think the webinars are great too. Franchises today can use that technology to, I guess you could say, consistently train, franchisees, because I guess it's an ongoing process, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. At any time, if I need a refresher, I can always go back to the webinars, which I've done, and I like that.
That's fantastic. The majority of our listeners, Greg, they're, we call them aspiring, like this word, franchipreneurs. Would you give to them in their quest for buying a franchise?
That's a good question. My advice to someone looking for a franchise, I would tell them that it's definitely not for the faint of heart.
Mm-hmm.
It is a huge step. I found out for myself that it's one thing to have the dream of buying a franchise or starting your own business or whatever. It is totally something else to actually do it, and it can be done. I would not want to do anything to discourage anyone from achieving their dream, but I would want to make them aware that it's a big step. It's a big commitment. It's a big investment, both in time, money. So I don't want to discourage anyone, but I would want them to know that you need to be serious about it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. It's and it's one of the I guess you could say themes that we've had over the last 6 years, Greg, is it's franchising is definitely not for everyone, is it? And I guess you certainly know that, studying franchising for such a long time, that there's a lot of people out there that the franchise model is probably just not for them as well, and it is hard work.
Right.
That's another thing too. Is another theme has been that first year is always a challenge. There's a lot of hours put into that first year, especially, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, yes. A lot of time spent into it. My wife even she even said one time that she feels like that I have a second wife sometimes.
That's a good way to describe it, right? It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
That was a little bit humbling.
Has there been, like, any interesting, like, experiences for you, Greg, that, like, I guess maybe stand out since you've been a franchisee with ProTect Painters that you've noticed over the years? Any, like, learning lessons or?
Let's see. You mean learning as far as
yeah, any surprises or any experiences, that maybe you were surprised or just weren't prepared for?
Yes, and actually it kind of goes back to the last question. And one thing I learned is that when you're looking into franchise, you know that there's going to be competition. I knew that.
Right.
I didn't realize just how much competition.
Right. Interesting.
And it varies from state to state, depending on whatever area you're in. In the Dallas market, the painting competition is incredible, and I learned that. I knew it going in that there was going to be competition. I didn't realize how much there was going to be.
Right.
So it was, and I would say for anyone looking to get into any franchise, regardless of whatever it is, painting, food service, whatever, look at the competition that's in that particular market. Whatever it is you want to do,
good advice.
Find out how competitive it is already.
It's interesting, it's, talking about the competition, and of course it is one of the benefits, too, of course, getting into franchising, is ProTect Painters has a pretty strong brand name, and of course being part of Service Brands International, that certainly helps as well. We had, when we had our first son 5 years ago, Greg, we had a painter come to our house, and it took him a month to paint our house, and it's not a big house, by the way, and I couldn't get him out of here, and it was just, it was a nightmare. It was just, we joke about it all the time. We laugh about it now, but at the time it was terrible, and, I believe I just picked him out of the phone book, and I think I probably got the best rate, and I said, if I ever had to do it again going forward, I would use a recognized company, in that particular industry. So, because I guess there's still a lot of, I don't want to say like mom and pops out there, right? But there are other companies out there that are, just kind of do it on their own. And it was a big mistake at the time, So next time I'll definitely call ProTect Painters.
Well, that's good.
Absolutely.
And, we actually, and I don't want to sound negative towards the independent guys, but there are people out there that we refer to as Bob in a bucket. And there are plenty of independent guys that are quite good at what they do.
Right.
But there are some of them that, barely know which end of the brush to hold, and, they pick up a brush and all of a sudden they're a painter. And they've got the lowest price and they get the job. And then people find out, well, maybe that wasn't my best choice.
Yeah, like my situation, Bob in the bucket. I have to remember that one. It's a great expression. What's next for you, Greg? Then it sounds like you're enjoying everything with ProTect Painters. I guess if you could look maybe 5 years, even 10 years down the road.
That's an interesting question. My long-term goal, I would like to expand. Definitely, if someone has not already purchased territories nearby me, then I would like to bring on more help.
Right.
Not in the form of painters. I mean, obviously, I would like to have several painting crews, but I would like to bring in a district manager, people to help me run the business, so that I could expand and buy neighboring territories.
Wow, that's great. Has it been a challenge, like hiring people too, or getting good people? And I guess that's probably part of the training too, isn't it, Greg? Is finding the right match of people to, be part of the ProTect Painters team or your team anyway, specifically. So I guess that's been interesting for you as well.
Oh yeah, it has. And if I wanted to, I could run out right now and find a dozen painters, if I wanted to.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that they're qualified.
True.
And the way I look at it is, if they're going to do a job for me, it's my name that's on the job, not theirs.
Right.
And I tell my customers, I'm particular about who I put on a job because it's a reflection on me. And when we do the final walkthrough, I let the customers know I'm not happy until they're happy.
Right,
and,
absolutely.
You know, it's my name on there, not
exactly.
Bob's name.
Exactly, absolutely. What's the best way for our listeners, Greg, to get more information on becoming a franchisee? Should they go to ProTect Painters? Is it ProTectPainters.com? What's the website address?
Yes, the actual website is ProTectPainters.com.
Okay.
And you can find there are links there if you're interested in becoming a franchisee.
Okay.
There's a link there for that. There's plenty of information.
That's fantastic. And I want to thank you again, Greg. You've been a fantastic guest. These are the shows that I especially love doing is, talking to, franchisees or franchipreneurs just like yourself. I think they're always the best stories, So it was a privilege to have you on the show today. And I'd like to invite you back, next year and see how you're doing.
Oh, I'd love to. Thank you so much
fantastic.
for having me.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much, Greg. We'll be right back with more franchise interviews.
Franchisers, are you looking to reach aspiring entrepreneurs looking to buy a franchise? Are you looking to reach a highly educated audience on franchising? For over 6 years, Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship through our website, franchiseinterviews.com, where you can hear and read interviews as well as get tips from some of the most successful sources in franchising. Our weekly franchise radio show where each week you get to hear a new interview with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys, and our podcast, Great Quotes in Franchising. For more information, go to franchiseinterviews.com or call us at 610-905-2919. That's 610-905-2919.
Need a business loan? Talk to Diamond Financial Services, the experts in franchise financing nationwide. Whether you're looking to start a franchise, acquire an existing franchise, or expand your territory through opening new locations, Diamond Financial stands by your side start to finish. From pre-qualification to packaging and presenting your application to securing a financial commitment and through the loan closing process, Diamond Financial is there. While you're waiting, thousands of others are making their financial dreams come true. Don't wait any longer. Pre-qualify now by completing a confidential, no-obligation financial analysis. Let's face it, traditional banks just aren't in the business of financing small business. At Diamond Financial, we specialize in securing franchise loans from $100,000 to $3 million and equipment leasing up to $150,000. Let us help you get started. Go to www.franchisefunding.net or call 877-508-2274. That's franchisefunding.net, 877-508-2274.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Franchise Interviews. Well, our next segment, we're going to be talking a little bit about our Great Quotes in Franchising podcast, and today's comes from Derek Henze, a franchisee to Topper's Pizza. And we had Derek on our show several years ago, and he really gave a lot of great advice. We'd like to congratulate Derek also. He recently purchased his third Topper's Pizza franchise. So here we go with Derek Henze, Topper's Pizza.
Hi, everyone. This is Marty McDermott from Franchise Interviews, and welcome to another edition of Great Quotes in Franchising, where each podcast you get to hear a great quote in franchising. Don and I have been hosting Franchise Interviews now over 4 years and over 230 shows, and during that time we've had some incredible quotes on the show. Today you're going to get to hear from Derek Henze, and Derek's a fascinating individual. I met him about 4 years ago at the National Collegiate Entrepreneurial Conference in Chicago. And Derek is a new franchisee to a pizza franchise called Topper's, and he answers the question, why franchising? And I thought his answer was really just as good as anyone we've ever heard on the show during the last 4 years. So listen to what Derek said. What makes him interesting is he also has a background in the military. And as you know, Don and I talked a lot about the connection or the relationship between serving in the going to enjoy this one. So here we go.
All that kind of stuff really plays in my personality. Yeah. And in the franchising world, they kind of are a little bit hesitant on getting too involved with really true entrepreneurs because they really want people that lock into a system. Right. However, the way I look at it is kind of, I kind of lined it up with my goals and what I wanted to do. And having really big ambitions, what I really saw is the opportunity of getting something going really quick. I'm fully confident that I could have always started my own restaurant or pizza place or my own business. However, if you look at the timeline that would take you to develop the business, to get the right marketing niche and your business plan, and just develop everything to be even profitable, and you compare that to the franchising where a lot of that work's already done for you. Right. And they have a proven system, and they have a good franchise should have a good track record of what it means to be successful and what you have to do. So I like the idea that I could really hit the ground running with a business opportunity, and at the same time, not as much as I like all the business stuff that's involved with running your business, I like the idea that I won't be distracted with worrying about how to lay out a menu or worrying about, all the small, intricate things. What new product should I put on my menu? I like the idea that I could focus on the most important thing, and to me that was the people in my business.
Do you think, Derek, that you would have done this anyway, going to franchising, or was it the military, giving you confidence, putting life in perspective, being overseas? Did that more motivate you, or you think you would have? You were kind of an entrepreneur in general, anyway.
Yeah, that's really funny because originally when I got out of the military, my whole goal is I thought I was going to be a stockbroker, a financial advisor. That was kind of my goal. I actually started going to school for a finance major, and then as I was exploring, I had this conception of college as all these, highly advanced intellectual people that just sat around and talked, and and the reality of it is a lot of it is just we're young kids trying to figure out who we are in life. Right. And but the few individuals I did run into as I started to meet people and evolved in my network were these people that were very entrepreneurial. And that's when it was just like a bell. I was like, wow, that's it right there. Is I'm truly an entrepreneur, and I love business. And like you guys said, there's the kind of the military that installed that discipline, but at the same time open my eyes, saying that I want to make more of an impact than just holding a regular job somewhere.
Now, why?
Thanks, everyone, for listening, and we'll see you again next week with another edition of Franchise Interviews. Take care, everyone.